Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in once again to Pheno Field as Milford TV is happy to present this coverage of Milford High School baseball. This afternoon it is another Davenport Division showdown as your Milford Scarlet Hawks get set to take on the visiting Stoughton Black Knights. These are two teams close in proximity in the standings, and they've gotten off to fairly similar inconsistent starts on the season. Right now, Stoughton finds themselves a spot above Milford in the Davenport Division standings. They are currently in third place at 3-3 overall on the year. Milford comes into this matchup today in fourth place in the Davenport standings with an overall record of 2-2. I mentioned both teams looking to find a little bit of consistency on the season. Milford, a nice 10-run explosion offensively a couple of games back against Canton, but they could not continue that in their last game last week during April vacation, scoring just one run in a disappointing loss against the Oliver Ames Tigers. Meanwhile, it's been plenty of offense so far on the season for Stoughton, averaging 5.3 runs per game. However, they've been allowing even more than that. They've been allowing an average of 6.5 runs per game. So again, as this early part of the season moves on, both of these teams looking to get a little bit more consistent, and Milford is certainly the team who looks to do that this afternoon here on their home field. Overcast skies, but it should stay dry, and we should have the first pitch coming up for you next here on Milford TV. And we welcome you right back inside Pheno Field as the Scarlet Hawks are just about set to take the field. The head coach is finishing going over the ground rules as they do before each and every game here at Pheno. And again, getting ready to watch baseball out there this afternoon, but certainly by the feel of the weather conditions here at Pheno, it feels a whole lot more like football weather. It is a chilly one here in Milford this afternoon. It is 56 degrees as we get set for this baseball game, but a good strong breeze that is frequently changing direction. It was blowing straight in towards home plate when we first arrived. For a while it had started blowing straight out to straightaway center field. Now a bit more of a swirling wind, but that will certainly be a factor for these defenses to deal with this afternoon, and who knows, that wind might give the balls a little bit of a boost at times off the bats as well, but that remains to be seen. Milford has taken the field now as they conclude warm-up tosses out on the mound. We will get right to the starting lineups for this afternoon's game. We'll start with the visiting Stoughton Black Knights. Their lineup looks like this. Leading it off is the third baseman, Mike Manning. The designated hitter, Doug Seaman, bats second, with the catcher, Jake Gibb, batting third. In the cleanup spot is the first baseman, Brian Crimmins, with the shortstop, Ryan Sullivan, batting fifth. Batting sixth is the left fielder, Tommy Herr, with the right fielder, Alex Akiavati, batting seventh. Batting eighth and playing center field is Robbie Ware, and in the ninth spot and playing second base is Luke Butera. On the mound for the Black Knights will be Jordan Elkery. And for your Milford Scarlet Hawks, the lineup looking a little bit different than what we've seen in the first two games we've brought to you so far on the season. In the leadoff spot and playing second base is Drew Wild. Batting second is the shortstop, Aiden Wild, with Jeff Basazzi in the number 3 spot and playing catcher today. In right field is the cleanup hitter, Blake Hill, with the left fielder, Griffin Lynch, batting fifth. Batting sixth and playing first base is Anthony Mazzini, with Pete Schuler in the 7th spot. He plays center field. The third baseman, Tommy Thomas, bats eighth, and in the 9th spot is the designated hitter for today's game, Brian Ireland. And once again on the mound for the Scarlet Hawks is number 4, Alex Croteau, pitching his third game that we've covered here on Milford TV. Pitched a very good ball game last time out against the Oliver Ames Tigers, allowed just 3 runs in the outing. Unfortunately, the Milford offense just could not muster up much against Brendan Welsh, the starter for Oliver Ames. Meanwhile, one pitch into this ball game, and the leadoff hitter for Stoughton, Mike Manning, grounds out to second base, handled cleanly out there by the right side of the Milford infield. So again, just one pitch into the ball game, and already the first out is recorded. And that's something important to monitor about Alex Croteau's outing tonight, or this afternoon, I should say. At times through the game last week, he did struggle getting that first out of the inning, allowing men on base, giving Oliver Ames an opportunity. They were eventually able to take advantage of that to the tune of those 3 runs they scored. Alex Alex Croteau pitching 7 innings in that loss. Here's his 2-0 pitch, and this is lifted in the air out to left center field. Ranging over is Pete Schuler. Also there is Griffin Lynch. The two have a small collision in left center field. Neither player yielding. You would think customarily in a play like that, it is the center fielder who has the final say to call off the left fielder. We have 2 quick outs in the inning as Alex Croteau delivers ball 1 into Jake Gibb, the catcher. That was Doug Seaman, the designated hitter, with that fly out to left. So moving along quickly in the inning as that strike evens up the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. That pitch stays upstairs. 2-1 now the count to Jake Gibb. A lot of these Stoughton hitters off to hot starts on the season. 3-1 now the count. And Gibb front and center in this offense through the early days as that pitch in for a called strike 2. It's a full count with 2 outs and the base is empty here in the top of the first inning. Croteau's payoff pitch is swung on and missed for strike 3. A nice pitch on the outer edge. He got it past the bat of Jake Gibb. A very nice quick 1-2-3 top of the first inning for Croteau. The Milford Scarlet Hawks will take their first swings of the game when we return here on Milford TV. A 1-2-3 top of the first inning, and now it is the Scarlet Hawks who will get things started offensively. Drew Wild will lead it off, followed by younger brother Aiden Wild and Jeff Basazzi. A lot of players operating in different spots in the lineup than when this team last played, which was a while ago. It was 5 days ago when Milford played their last game, only had 1 game on all of April vacation. It was a Wednesday afternoon game against Oliver Ames here at home. A game we brought to you here on Milford TV. We saw Tommy Thomas occupy the leadoff spot for the early games of the season. Now Drew Wild inserted into that spot, looking to get this offense jump-started, which again did struggle in that game against Oliver Ames. Just 1 run and 6 hits through 7 innings. And Jordan Elkery, the starting pitcher for Stoughton, he delivers this pitch in. It's sent out to left field down the line, but plenty of time for Tommy Herr, the left fielder, to wander over and make the catch. And Drew Wild is retired. And that brings up the freshman and the younger member of the Wild family, Aiden Wild, stepping into the box. Drew Wild batting from the left side, Aiden from the right side. Jordan Elkery's first pitch. This is a bit high and inside for ball 1. The 1-0 pitch stays upstairs again. 2 balls and no strikes the count. Aiden Wild off to a successful start to his varsity career, batting .538 coming into the game this afternoon. He has 7 hits in 13 at-bats. Sends this hard on the ground through the left side of the infield. Getting moved up in the lineup, and it pays off here as he reaches with a 1-out single. Both members of the Wild family doing a good job of getting on base in the early days of the season, so no doubt Coach Pellegrini looking for that combination to get on base ahead of these big bats in the lineup. One of those big bats up right now as Jeff Basazzi digs in on the right side. Looks at a pitch low for ball 1. Basazzi moved up to the number 3 spot in the lineup after serving as the cleanup hitter in the early games. I'm sure most of these managers use these early games on the season as an opportunity to see where the best fits are on the field and in the lineup. As Basazzi floats this pitch out to shallow center field, that's going to touch down for a base hit. Aiden Wild had to play it halfway on the bases, not quite knowing if that one was going to drop. Moves up to second base on the single. So back-to-back base hits put men at first and second base ahead of Blake Hill. Hill looking to find his groove at the plate. Came up a couple of times in the late innings in that game against Oliver Ames with an opportunity to at least tie the ball game. Jordan Elkery pitching himself into a jam here in the bottom of the first inning. That pitch misses outside. Two on and only one out here in the bottom of the first inning. No score, but Milford is threatening. Elkery leans in for the sign, peeks back at second base. Now spins off the rubber, but no one covering the bag. Gave Aiden Wild a chance to wander back to the bag without much of a sense of urgency. Now each runner back out to a lead again. The runners hold, the pitch is swung on and missed. It's a 2-ball, 1-strike count on the Milford starting right fielder. Here's the pitch. That swung on and missed. Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Griffin Lynch waiting in the on-deck circle. The pitch from Elkery stays outside, not tempting for Blake Hill, and that runs the count full. Blake Hill is a strikeout threat, so you have to imagine the runners will likely hold on this 3-2 pitch. They do indeed, as the pitch dips in low for ball 4. Hill working the walk. It's the first walk issued by Elkery on the day. But it will load the bases with only 1 out in the inning. And the batter who currently leads the Hockomock League in batting average now stepping to the plate in Griffin Lynch. A .667 batting average coming into the game today. A golden opportunity to put his team up early. The command has not been particularly strong for Jordan Elkery here to these early batters. Took a little something off that pitch and got it past the bat of Lynch. Just 1 out in the inning and a Scarlet Hawk at every base. Here's the pitch. Stays outside, a dangerous pitch. A nice play from the catcher, Jake Gibb, to grab that ball on the backhand, prevent it from going to the backstop. The set from Elkery. Here's his pitch. This is hit in the air out to left field. Ranging in is Tommy Herr. He's there to make the catch. The runner at third base tags, comes to the plate without a throw. And Aiden Wild scores the first run of this ball game, and the Scarlet Hawks take an early 1-0 lead. Credit Griffin Lynch with the sacrifice fly. Jeff Basazzi remains at second base with Blake Hill at first. Now 2 outs in the inning. And an opportunity for Anthony Mazzini, who had a couple of hits and a run batted in the game against Oliver Ames last Wednesday. Takes a pitch inside for ball one. There weren't many hitters in this Milford lineup who could say they had a good day against the hard-throwing lefty Brendan Welsh of Oliver Ames, but Mazzini having as good a day as anyone. Here's the 1-0 pitch. This is outside and low. Doesn't appear that they will be facing quite the same arsenal out of Jordan Elkery here this afternoon. Here's the 2-0 pitch. That one just grabbing the inner part of the strike zone. It had Mazzini backing off the plate, but ruled a called strike one. This pitch is driven in the air out to center field. Out goes Robbie Ware, but he has it for the out that retires the side. So Milford getting a lot of base runners here in the bottom of the first inning. They can only bring one home, and after one inning of play, it is Milford 1 and Stoughton 0 here on coverage of Scarlet Hawks baseball on Milford TV. Alex Croteau pitching with a lead here as he takes the mound in the top of the second inning and delivers a called strike one promptly into the first baseman Brian Crimmins. Batters 4, 5, and 6 coming up here in the top of the second, and Croteau a couple of well-located fastballs and a quick 0-2 count on Crimmins. Here's the next pitch, in on the hands. Crimmins fights it off foul, and it stays 0-2. Some hardy souls here in attendance today at Pheno Field, heavily bundled for this chilly afternoon start. Croteau misses outside and low with that pitch, doesn't get Crimmins to chase. Working very quickly here and gets a swing and a miss for strike three. That is back-to-back strikeouts for Croteau as he was able to get Jake Gibbs swinging to conclude the first inning. Croteau had the strikeout pitch working in his last start, putting up 9 Ks against the Oliver Ames Tigers. Starts off with ball one in this at bat against Ryan Sullivan, the starting shortstop for for Stoughton. Now 2-0 the count. Similar school colors for Oliver Ames and Stoughton, both sporting orange and black colors. 3 teams in the Hockomock League, with the Taunton Tigers of the Kelly Rex division, the 3rd team. The count all even now at 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out and the base is empty. The next pitch from Croteau, outside for ball 3. The windup and the pitch. That one up over the head of Sullivan for ball 4. It's the first walk issued by Croteau, the first base runner for the Black Knights, as now Tommy Herr steps into the box. Defensively, Milford looks like this. Jeff Basazzi behind the plate with Tommy Thomas at third, Aiden Wild at short, Drew Wild at second, and Anthony Mazzini at third. Left to right in the outfield, Griffin Lynch, Pete Schuler, and Blake Hill. As Croteau dishes in strike one to the left fielder for the Black Knights, Tommy Herr. Too far inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 out deep in the top of the second inning. Brian Sullivan at first base. He jumps out to a lead. Now checked on by Croteau. It looked like Sullivan was leaning just a tad in the wrong direction, but was still able to get back to the first base bag standing up. Now the 1-1 pitch, the runner takes off, the pitch is a strike, the throw down to second, not in time. Basazzi maybe a little bit flat-footed as he delivered that throw. He got it there in the air, it was a little bit high, and by the time Wild could slap the tag down, Sullivan was into second base with a feet-first slide, so a stolen base. something this Stoughton team has been doing very well in the early days of this season. The count even once again at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And this one swung on and missed. And it looks like another strikeout on an off-speed pitch for Croteau. Already his 3rd strikeout in his first inning and 2/3 of work. With 2 outs now in the inning, Alex Croteau steps in. And he takes a called strike 1. Croteau keeping tabs on that runner at second base, now delivers to the plate. This pitch sent foul off to the left. Sullivan back out to his lead at second base. The pitch in, just misses outside. You could hear Coach Pellegrini from the third base sidelines wanting that pitch. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count instead, as Croteau stays alive for now. Here's the next pitch. This is hit on the ground to second base. Drew Wild, a bobble. He's able to recover. He sends a low throw to first base, but it's picked by Anthony Mazzini for the out that ends the inning. So Croteau able to successfully work around a 1-out walk, and we head to the bottom of the second inning with the Scarlet Hawks leading the Stoughton Black Knights by a score of 1-0 here on coverage of Milford High School Baseball on Milford TV. It will be the bottom third of the Scarlet Hawks lineup coming to the plate as they open things up here in the bottom of the second inning. Pete Schuler will start it off as he digs in on the right side. Milford grabbing a run on 2 hits in the bottom of the first. They also drew a walk in the inning. And Jordan Elkery starts off this at bat against Schuler with a pitch in the dirt for ball 1. Collected behind home plate by the on-deck hitter, Tommy Thomas. Here's the 1-0. It's hit hard on the ground to third base, in and out of the glove of Mike Manning. It rolls out into left field. Schuler thinking about second base, and he's able to get there standing up as Tommy Herr could not play it cleanly out there in left field. So a couple of miscues out on the field for the Black Knights. Manning tried to go to the backhand. That ball clanked off the glove. I think it would go as a base hit and an error on the third baseman. Also an error out in left field to allow the runner to get to third base. Meanwhile, Tommy Thomas catching everybody by surprise on the infield, and he is going to reach. Schuler advances to third. Milford applying some pressure here in the second inning, and it pays off. So that's already 4 hits now for the Milford lineup. Runners at the corners with nobody out, and the DH Brian Ireland now up there on the left side. And we'll see if Thomas tries to use his speed to get into scoring position. Meanwhile, Ireland takes the first pitch for strike 1. This is the first time we've seen Brian Ireland in the starting lineup. We did see him make a relief appearance and take a couple of at-bats on opening day as that pitch drifts outside, evening the count at a ball and a strike. Milford getting plenty of opportunities to put runs on the board here in the early innings. Thomas takes off for second base. The pitch is outside for a ball. The throw is a little bit low, and as a result, Thomas will reach safely at second base with the steal. It was a good quick release out of the catcher, Jake Gibb. The throw short hopped the bag, and the Shortstop couldn't get himself into position to even swipe a tag on Thomas. So now 2 men in scoring position. Nobody out in the inning. The next pitch into Ireland misses outside. A close pitch. The top of the order waiting on deck. The pitch from Elkery. That is up high for ball 4. And this will prompt a visit from Mike Armour, the head coach for the Stoughton Knights, and the entire infield will participate in this conference. Elkery already surrendering his second walk of the game. And for the second time in as many innings, Milford is presented with a bases loaded situation. They had them loaded up with 1 out in the first inning. They ended up settling for just a single run on a sacrifice fly. Here they have the bases loaded with no outs and the top of the order coming to the plate. So a great spot for the lefty Drew Wild, who waits to dig in now that the meeting on the mound has broken up. We mentioned Stoughton has scored a lot of runs early on the season, but they have given up even more. In danger of doing that right here. First pitch swinging, Wild sends this one out into the gap in left center field. That gets down for a hit. Here comes Pete Schuler to score. Tommy Thomas right behind him. He will score standing up. It is a 2-run double for Drew Wild that ups the Milford lead to 3-0. Drew Wild not waiting around. Got a good pitch to drive on the first pitch of the at-bat. Sent it out into the gap in left center. Easily plating 2 runs and 2 more now in scoring position for Aiden Wild. He takes the first pitch for ball 1. We don't see any action warming up yet on the Stoughton side, but Jordan Elkery in a big-time jam. He's already allowed 3 early runs. Still has not recorded an out in this inning. The infield drawn in as this one is hit on the ground. They're going to get Brian Ireland now. A lot of confusion on the bases. It will ultimately be Drew Wild out at second base. So bad communication out there on the bases as Brian Ireland broke for the plate on that hard ground ball to second base with the infield drawn in. He then retreated back to third base, but Wild was already there at third. And in the end, Wild nearly made it back to the second base bag, but the throw just beat him there. The tag applied, and Wild is out number 1. Ireland safely making it back to third. Aiden Wild reaching on the fielder's choice, so bit of a crazy exchange there on the bases. So 1 down now in the inning, still 2 runners on. Now a ground ball here hit to third base. Ireland breaking for the plate again. This time he's thrown out. Basazzi safe at first base on the second consecutive fielder's choice, and now there's 2 outs in the inning. So Elkery will certainly take that exchange. A lot of swinging early in counts here in this inning. Worked well for Drew Wild, not so much for the 2 batters that have come up since. And now it is Blake Hill looking to squeeze a little bit more offense out of this bottom of the second inning. Here's the first pitch. This is hit high in the air and foul down the left field line. That will be out of play. Pete Schuler and Tommy Thomas scoring on that RBI double by Drew Wild. Drew Wild eventually thrown out at second base on that first bizarre fielder's choice play. Brian Ireland then thrown out at the plate on the fielder's choice hit into by Jeff Basazzi. So it's now Basazzi at first, Aiden Wild at second base with 2 outs in the inning. The next pitch into Blake Hill. is again hit foul. One ball and 2 strikes is the count. Hill walked in his last at bat. But a swing and a miss here, chased an outside pitch. That's the first strikeout for Jordan Elkery, who allows 2 runs in the inning, but it certainly could have been a lot worse for Stoughton and for Milford. A little bit of frustration on the bases. But we've played 2 full innings now from Pheno Field. It is a 3-0 lead for the Milford Scarlet Hawks here on Milford TV. Alex Croteau seeing that lead grow in the previous half inning, watching his offense put up 2 more runs. As he will start things off here in the top of the third. A bunt attempt, hustling down the line is the number 8 hitter Robbie Ware, but Croteau's throw able to beat him by a running step. The Stoughton center fielder is out number 1. 1-3 on the ground out. And now a foul ball at the plate from the number 9 hitter and second baseman Luke Butera. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Grabbing the inside corner for strike 2. And now that pitch fought off foul. And the count stays 0-2. So far, Croteau able to retire that leadoff batter in each of the first 3 innings. We did finally see some action out in the bullpen for Stoughton as that bottom of the second inning went along. 1 ball and 2 strikes now the count. Called strike 3 on a nice pitch on the outside edge. So Croteau working both sides of the plate in that at bat against Butera and gets his 4th strikeout of the game. This time a called strike 3. And now first pitch swinging, Mike Manning sends a pitch foul down the left field line. He grounded out to second base back in the first inning. The 0-1 pitch, that misses. Nobody on, 2 outs here in the top of the third inning. Croteau's next pitch. This is hit on the ground right back to the mound. Croteau snags it, sends the throw over to Mazzini at first base. And it's the second 1-2-3 inning of the outing for Alex Croteau, who looks like he has it going on early in this game. We move on to the bottom half of the third inning. It is a 3-0 lead for your Milford Scarlet Hawks here on coverage of Milford Athletics on Milford TV. Milford TV happy to bring you continuing coverage of this Milford High School spring sports season. I am Tim Coet on the call once again. Rob O'Keefe on the camera. As the Scarlet Hawks come to the plate here in the third inning, up 3-0. Jordan Elkery battling through these early innings, still on the mound. Delivers a strike 1 into Griffin Lynch. Milford sending 6 batters to the plate in the first inning, 7 batters to the plate in the second inning, as Lynch sends a hot shot over into the third base coach's box. Two strikes on the batter. Here's the pitch. Protecting the plate. This one is hit slowly on the ground to third base. Ranging in quickly was Mike Manning, and a good accurate throw over to first base gets Lynch for the first out here in the third. 5-3 the put out. Now here's Anthony Mazzini, who flew out to center field to conclude things in the first. Mazzini takes the first pitch outside for ball one. Elkery into his windup. Here's the pitch. 1-1 now the count. Now ground ball to second base. Waiting for it there is Butera. Doesn't have far to go with the throw and gets it there in time for out number 2. So a much better inning so far here in the third for Jordan Elkery. Allowed the first 4 batters to reach in the second inning. Now has the first 2 outs quickly here in the third and gets a waving swing and a miss against Pete Schuler for strike 1. It was Pete Schuler's leadoff single that got the rally going last inning. Eventually came home to score on the 2-run double by Drew Wild. The next pitch on the way. Schuler having a little difficulty picking up that pitch out of the hand of Elkery. A couple of tough-looking swings and a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. Elkery looking for his first 1-2-3 inning. Schuler lifts this pitch in the air, foul behind first base. Crimmins is over to make the catch for the out that retires the side. So 3 up and 3 down for Milford here in the third inning. We move on to inning number 4. 3-0 the score, Milford with the lead. As you enjoy coverage of Scarlet Hawks baseball on Milford TV. The big bats in the Stoughton lineup coming to the plate here in the 4th inning. Some chatter now rising up out of the first base dugout as the visitors look to get something going against Alex Croteau, who has put up a very strong showing in the early innings of this game. That pitch dropping in for a strike against Doug Seaman, the designated hitter. That pitch a little bit too low out of the hand of Croteau. Seaman up now, Jake Gibb and Brian Crimmins to follow. Here's the next pitch. And that is in for strike 2, 2 balls and 2 strikes, the count. And a swing and a miss for strike 3. Strikeout number 5 for Alex Croteau. And this certainly appears to be Alex Croteau's strongest performance that we have seen in these early games on the year. Again, getting plenty of work. I do believe this is Croteau's 4th start of the year. It's certainly the 3rd that we've seen. But Milford has had a sparse schedule to open up this 2015 season. Only 4 games over these first 3 weeks. Had a long 5-day layoff since their last game. This pitch is hit on the ground to third base. It eats up Tommy Thomas, gets up over the glove, and that is how Stoughton collects their first base hit of the game. It comes with 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning. You can check that 1 out in the inning. As Gibb reaches on the 1-out single. Tommy Thomas trying to stay low on that ball. Ended up bouncing right up over the glove. So Gibb now at first base with Brian Crimmins at the plate. A check over at first base on Gibb, and he is back. That pitch in for a strike. You can tell that Coach Pellegrini is pleased with both the stuff and the location that he's seen out of his pitcher early in this game. Here's a line drive out to right field. Blake Hill is there to make the grab. Solid contact off the bat from Crimmins, but hit right at Blake Hill, who was aligned well out there in right field. 2 outs now in the inning, and the runner Jake Gibb remains at first base now for Ryan Sullivan. Off the end of the bat, he sends the first pitch foul to the backstop. Up until the single by Gibb, Sullivan had been the only Stoughton batter to reach base against Alex Croteau, working a 1-out walk in his previous at-bat. Up there now with an even count of 1 ball and 1 strike with 2 outs and a runner aboard at first. Milford up by 3 as they send another pickoff throw over at first base. That sends Jake Gibb diving back into the bag. Called strike at the knees. It had Sullivan bending out of the way, but good location again. As this pitch is in the dirt, it gets through the legs of Basazzi, and that will allow Gibb to move up into scoring position. That's the first time we've seen that this afternoon. It was a fairly frequent occurrence in the early innings between Croteau and Basazzi a little less than a week ago. But Croteau comes right back with a beautiful pitch on the outside corner for strike 3 that ends the inning. 2 more strikeouts in the frame for Alex Croteau. As we head on to the bottom of the 4th inning, it remains a 3-0 score in favor of Milford here on Milford TV. 3 runs, 5 hits, and no errors for the Milford Scarlet Hawks. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 errors for the Stoughton Black Knights as we play on to the bottom of the 4th inning. Here on a overcast and breezy day, a heavy cloud cover overhead. The sun has attempted to break through that cloud cover at times here this afternoon in Milford, but it has not happened to this point, and it has resulted in some chilly temperatures down at field level and even up here in the broadcast booth. Plenty of breeze coming through as we watch the flags out in left center field right now. A steady breeze blowing from right to left field as the Hawks prepare to take their at-bats here in the 4th. Still on the mound for Stoughton is Jordan Elkery, who induces a ground ball right back to the mound on the first pitch against Tommy Thomas. Elkery throws to first, and it's a quick 1-3 ground out. So this outing's starting to turn around now for Elkery, who found himself in a lot of trouble in the first 2 innings. Ended up allowing 3 runs, when again it really could have and maybe even should have been more for Milford, as they had the bases loaded with only 1 out in the first inning. Ended up only getting a run. Loaded the bases with nobody out in the second inning. They ended up getting a 2-run double out of Drew Wild before some poor base running led to a couple of outs and ultimately allowed Elkery to escape the inning without any further damage done. As the number 9 hitter, Brian Ireland, works ahead in the count. And since that RBI double from Drew Wild, Jordan Elkery has now retired 7 straight or had retired 7 straight until that one-out walk from Brian Ireland. So Brian Ireland getting a chance to be part of the starting lineup for Milford today, operating out of the DH spot here at the bottom of the lineup, and has worked a pair of walks so far on the day. I'm sure that's something head coach Paul Pellegrini likes to see. As now Drew Wild takes a pitch low for ball 1. Three walks in the outing now for Jordan Elkery. Wild jackknifing out of the way. However, the pitch ruled a strike. 1-1 the count. Wild 1 for 2 on the day, with that double and the 2 runs batted in. Now hits a hard ground ball to first base. The throw to second base takes the shortstop off the bag, and everyone is going to be safe. So Brian Crimmins fielding that ground ball, ranging away from the first base bag, trying to cut down that lead runner at second base, but airmailed the throw. And it was a nice effort out of Ryan Sullivan to keep that ball from going into left field. So Wild reaches on the fielder's choice. Ireland safe at second base on the errant throw, so that's now 3 errors on the day so far for the Stoughton defense. And runners at first and second for Aiden Wild. Wild taking a pitch low. Aiden Wild singling and scoring a run back in the first inning. Sends a pitch hard on the ground to deep shortstop. The throw to second base is there in time. A bang-bang play at second base. It really looked as though Drew Wild had gotten the foot on the bag before the throw. Coach Pellegrini will come out to plead his case. Ryan Sullivan ranging deep into the hole at shortstop. Had to quickly turn and make the throw to second base. That was the only chance he had in an out on the play. And from the naked eye, it did look like Drew Wild was safe there at the second base bag. But it certainly does not look like the argument is going to go anywhere on Coach Pellegrini's behalf. So potentially a tough break there for the Scarlet Hawks as they see a man cut down at second base. Brian Ireland now at third base with Aiden Wild safe at second. And now a check over at first base. Aiden Wild back safely. Aiden Wild, the runner at first base, with Brian Ireland at third, 2 outs in the inning. A chance for Jeff Basazzi, who was out in front of a pitch. Basazzi 1 for 2 at the plate. The next pitch on the way. And in for a called strike 2. So Elkery now 1 pitch away from wriggling out of danger again. And now all kinds of confusion again on the bases, as no one had covered second base. They were urging even from the dugout for Aiden Wild to take off for second base, but just as he did so, Brian Ireland started to dance far off the third base bag. A good throw would have had him out at third base, but fortunately for Ireland, the pitcher's throw was low into third base. It ricocheted away a bit from Mike Manning. So now runners at second and third for the Hawks on a pitch that just misses from Elkery. So there has been some insecurity on the bases, particularly from Brian Ireland in this game this afternoon, as now Jeff Basazzi takes a called strike 3, and the inning is over. 2 more runners stranded on base by the Scarlet Hawks. They failed to score a run in the inning. And as we head to the top of the 5th, it remains a 3-0 score in favor of Milford here on Milford TV. It has been an uneven day for the Scarlet Hawks offense through these first 4 innings, collecting 3 runs on 5 hits. However, they have stranded 6 runners through the first 4 frames, and base running has very much limited what they've been able to do offensively. The way that Alex Croteau has pitched so far in this ball game, 3 runs may very well be enough for a Scarlet Hawks victory, though still a ways to go in the game. Croteau pitching to the number 6 hitter Tommy Herr to lead off the top of the 5th. Herr struck out back in the 2nd inning and now looks at a called strike 3. That is strikeout number 7 in the game for Alex Croteau. That strikeout total continuing to rise. One out now for Alex Akiavati. Takes a pitch down low for ball 1. Akiavati grounding out 4-3 in his last at bat. Hits a ball deep in the hole at second base. A diving stab by Drew Wild. He initially had it in the glove. Even if he had handled it cleanly, I don't know if he would have been able to get any sort of throw off to first base. So Akiavati hitting it on the ground towards second again, but this time slicing it just enough away from Drew Wild to be able to reach on the infield single. As now Robbie Ware swings at the first pitch he sees and hits it hard on the ground, foul over towards the first base dugout. 1 out and a man on first as Croteau sends a pickoff throw over, but Akiavati gets back in safely. One ball and 1 strike now the count on the Stoughton center fielder. Pops a pitch up foul. This will head over the backstop and thud off the top of the press box. One and 2 now the count. The lead growing at first base for Akiavati. He holds as the pitch drops in a little bit too low. No chase from Ware. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss. And down goes Robbie Ware. The 8th K for Alex Croteau. Croteau has had at least 1 strikeout in every inning. He has struck out 2 in the 2nd, the 4th, and now here in the 5th inning as he gets a foul ball off the bat of Luke Butera for strike 1. Again, Akiavati out to a lead at first base. It elicits a throw from Alex Croteau, but again, he slides back into the base safely. Should Butera reach, we would head back up to the top of the Stoughton lineup, and indeed we will, as Butera with solid contact against Croteau, and now this ball goes underneath the glove of Pete Schuler, coming all the way around from first base now, and scoring is Aki Avadi. So what could have easily been a harmless single gets underneath the glove of Schuler, rolls deep out there in center field, and it ends up scoring a run. And that would have to go as a single, and a very costly error out there in center field by Pete Schuler. Just a lack of concentration out there. So Stoughton able to cut into the Milford lead here. It's now 3-1. And it gives Mike Manning a chance. It was a line drive shot by Butera that touched down a few feet out into center field, but should have been easily scooped by Schuler to keep runners at first and second base, but turned into a very costly error. Anyone with knowledge of Pheno Field knows if you let a ball roll there in the outfield, it has a lot of room to roam. A strike delivered by Croteau, trying to strand that man at third base. Butera, the runner at third. As this pitch is hit hard on the ground, it ricochets off the foot of Croteau. Tommy Thomas can't make a throw to any base. In from third base comes Butera. And out to check on Croteau now is Coach Pellegrini. And what a wild inning this is turning out to be. All of a sudden now the lead shrinking to 1 run. That ball could have been out number 3. Instead, it's an infield single for Mike Manning that drives in the second run of the inning. No RBI on the hit by Butera earlier that allowed Aki Avadi to score. This time Manning collects the run batted in as he drives Butera in on the hard ground ball off the foot of Croteau. And again, you have to wonder if Thomas had sent a quick throw into home plate, it would have at very least been a close play, as now they have the runner hung up in a rundown between first and second base. We'll see if Milford can conclude the inning here. The throw hits the runner, and he will be safe at second base, and the inning will continue. And you can see the frustration showing through a bit on the sideline with this Milford coaching staff coming into this top half of the 5th inning with a comfortable 3-0 lead. And some mental miscues in the field have started to really shift momentum into Stoughton's favor. A called strike here delivered by Croteau. Pitching now with a man in scoring position. A borderline pitch misses. Croteau sets, now spins off the rubber. The throw to second base gets away. It rolls all the way out to Anthony Mazzini over at first base, and the runner will advance to third. Poise really being tested here of Alex Croteau. Here's the pitch, and that's in there for a strike. So Croteau 1 strike away from getting out of this inning as that pitch is hit off the end of the bat. The Stoughton bench into this game now, the tying run standing at third base. The pitch from Croteau is swung on and missed for strike 3, and finally the inning comes to a close. But it was an adventure in this top half of the 5th inning. 2 runs come home for the Knights, and it is now a 3-2 ball game with Milford clinging to the lead here on Milford TV. The Scarlet Hawks committing 2 errors in the top half of the 5th inning. One of those errors directly leading to a run scoring. So we've seen a lot of unusual plays in this game on the bases and in the field. The key play in that top of the 5th inning, the error out in center field by Pete Schuler that allowed the first Stoughton run of the game to come home to score. And that was followed by just a freak situation with the hard ground ball hitting off of the shoe of Croteau that allowed everyone to reach safely. Meanwhile, Blake Hill leading things off here in the bottom half of the 5th inning, looking to give Milford some breathing room again in this game. From a 3-run lead down to now just a 1-run advantage. Jordan Elkery, meanwhile, looking for a shutdown inning. Blake Hill sends this ball relatively deep out in left field, but still plenty of territory out there for Tommy Herr to track it down for out number 1. It was that infield single by Mike Manning that went off the foot of Croteau that allowed the second Stoughton run of that top of the 5th to score. Manning eventually stealing second base and then reaching third on the throwing error by the pitcher Croteau. That was the second error of the inning. But Milford was able to strand Manning at third base to preserve the lead. So 1 out and the base is empty here in the bottom of the 5th. Griffin Lynch up now for the 3rd time. He has an RBI to his credit in the game, courtesy of a sacrifice fly back in the 1st inning. He also grounded out to third base. Takes a pitch at shoulder level here. Anthony Mazzini waiting in the on-deck circle. Here's the pitch from Elkery, and it is tapped foul to the backstop. Everyone trying to stay warm here at the ballpark this afternoon. As that pitch finds the outside edge for a called strike 3. That is the 3rd strikeout of the game now for Jordan Elkery. And at one point in this game, it looked as though Elkery was not long for this ball game, but has managed to do just enough to hold Milford to the 3 runs they currently possess. He has retired the first 2 here in the 5th inning. Anthony Mazzini looking to lengthen this inning for the Scarlet Hawks, fouls that one off himself. Milford did end up sending 5 men to the plate in the bottom of the 4th inning. However, they did not have a hit in the inning. As Mazzini gets into this pitch, hits it out to deep right center field. A diving attempt for Robbie Ware. He can't get it. However, it's backed up nicely by Aki Avadi out there, and that will hold Mazzini to a very long single. Solid contact for Mazzini to the opposite field. Robbie Ware with a nice effort going into the dive. He couldn't come up with it, however. Really smart play out there by the Stoughton right fielder. He was able to back that up, get the throw back onto the infield quickly, forcing Mazzini to settle for the single. He gives Milford their 6th hit of the day, their first hit since back in the 2nd inning. And we'll see a courtesy runner here for the Scarlet Hawks. Looking to get a little bit of extra speed on the bases. They send Matt Fornicari out to run for Mazzini. 2 outs in the inning now for Pete Schuler, who would like to atone for his miscue in the top half of this inning. Snap throw down to first base, but Fornicari is in there sliding safely. Fornicari back out to his lead now. The pitch to the plate. In there for a strike. Righty versus righty battle between Jordan Elkery and Pete Schuler. Schuler hits it on the ground to shortstop, in and out of the glove of Sullivan. Throws to first, not in time. Another close play on the bases. This one goes Milford's way, as Schuler was able to leg that out. A very brief bobble at shortstop by Ryan Sullivan, and that was enough. So back-to-back singles here for Milford with 2 outs in the inning, and now a chance for Tommy Thomas. He sees that pitch cruise in for strike 1. Thomas reached on a bunt single back in the 2nd inning. Also scored a run in that frame. Since then, a ground out back to the pitcher. Takes this pitch outside for a ball. The catcher, Jake Gibb, looking for Fornicari back to the bag at second. Here's the pitch. Thomas looks at strike 2. Couldn't pull the trigger, and he falls behind in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes, 2 outs in the inning, and 2 runners aboard for Milford, who would love to build their lead back up. Here's the pitch, and this is lofted in the air out to center field. Ware looks to have it sized up. He makes the catch for the out that ends the inning. 2 more runners stranded for Milford, who have now left 8 men on the bases in this game. We've played 5 full innings now from Pheno Field. It's a tight one. Milford leading Stoughton by a score of 3-2 here on coverage of Milford High School baseball on Milford TV. Milford was hoping to put together a 2-out rally in that bottom of the 5th inning, but left Anthony Mazzini, or excuse me, the courtesy runner Fornicari, and Pete Schuler on the bases. And for Jordan Elkery, not much has been easy in this game. Outside of a 1-2-3 inning in the bottom of the 3rd, he has allowed all kinds of base runners, but has limited the damage as now this ball is hit on the ground to shortstop. A high throw by Aiden Wild, but pulled down by Mazzini at first base. And Jake Gibb is retired for the first out here in the top of the 6th inning. 6-3 on the ground out. That brings up the first baseman, Brian Crimmins, looking for his first hit. Sends a sharp ground ball foul down the first base line. Croteau back out there, working with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike against Crimmins, who has struck out and lined out. Sends a high fly ball out to right field. Ranging back is Blake Hill. He makes the basket-style catch. The wind playing with that ball a bit, but Blake Hill able to stick with it. The fly out from Crimmins brings the second out here in the 6th inning. 2 outs now for Ryan Sullivan, who has walked and struck out in the game. Also has a stolen base to his credit. Good late movement on that pitch from Croteau. The next one on the way, it stays high. Sullivan, the righty, ready to see another pitch, and it's in there at the knees for a called strike 3. And that is strikeout number 9 now for Alex Croteau, who has pitched 6 very strong innings in this game. We move on to the home half of the 6th inning with the score unchanged 3-2 in favor of Milford here on Milford TV. Batters 9, 1, and 2 coming to the plate for the Scarlet Hawks here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Again, looking for some insurance runs ahead of the 7th inning. Brian Ireland leading it off, puts a good swing on that ball, but can't keep it fair. Twists off foul beyond the fences in foul territory in left field. Brian Ireland has done a good job getting on base in the game today, working 2 walks. What he's done when he's been on the bases has been a little bit of an adventure. He just sticks the bat out here and he lofts the ball out into shallow left field for a single. So 3 trips to the plate and 3 times on base now for Ireland. So with Ireland at first base, up comes Drew Wild in the top of the Milford lineup. Wild has been on base twice with that 2-run double in the 2nd inning. He reached on a fielder's choice in the 4th. Sends a bunt out in front of home plate. The throw from the catcher, Jake Gibb, gets to first base in time to record the out, but the sacrifice good for Drew Wild. It gets Ireland up into scoring position at second. And you can see that is a skill that is very strong in Drew Wild. That ability to bunt. It's not an easy skill to develop. We saw Wild bunt for a hit in the game we covered against Oliver Ames last week. Now a good sacrifice bunt, just getting that ball deadened out in front of the plate. So now here is Aiden Wild, an RBI opportunity. Coach Pellegrini disagreeing with the strike call, but down in the count is Aiden Wild. Ireland with a leadoff of second as that pitch drifts a little bit outside. One ball and 2 strikes the count. Now low and outside. Most of the fans, as usual, collected down the left field line in that pavilion area. As Aiden Wild stings this ball on the ground, but foul, collected on a hop by Coach Pellegrini and sent right back into play. Of course, the fans bundled together out there down the left field line today, probably more so to keep themselves warm. As this ball is hit out into center field, that gets down for a hit. They will wave Brian Ireland to the plate. Here comes the throw. It's going to be cut off. It's an RBI single for Aiden Wild, and there is some insurance for your Scarlet Hawks as they take now a 4-2 lead. So each member of the Wild clan now with a run batted in the game. 2 for older brother Drew, now 1 for younger brother Aiden. Griffin Lynch with the other RBI in the game. And it looks like we will have a pitching change as Jordan Elkery's day on the mound is done. Coming on to pitch now, number 51, Nico Parmigliani. So we will take a quick break here as the relief pitcher loosens. We will continue on with this bottom of the 6th inning when we come back here on Milford TV. So Parmigliani ready now, through with his warm-up tosses, getting set to face the catcher, Jeff Basazzi, with a runner at first base and 1 down here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And his first pitch down in the dirt, it gets away from the catcher, and Aiden Wild will move up now into scoring position. So Nico Parmigliani throwing his first pitch and sending it low and outside away from the grasp of the catcher Gibb. And now another insurance run in scoring position for the Hawks. Here's the 1-0. That one in for a strike. Basazzi 1 for 3. He singled back in the first inning, bounced into a fielder's choice in the second, and struck out looking to end the 4th inning. Gets into this pitch, drives it out deep to left center field, still going back. That's going to be over everyone's head and roll towards the wall. Scoring easily is Aiden Wild on the RBI double by Jeff Basazzi. That would have been a home run in most high school parks. But Basazzi settling for the RBI double that puts Milford on top now 5-2. And you can now close the book on the starting pitcher for Stoughton, Jordan Elkery, who allowed all 5 of those runs, 4 of them earned. The runner at second base, now the responsibility of Parmigliani. That double, the second of the day for the Scarlet Hawks. As Jordan Dillon will now come out as a courtesy runner for Basazzi. Blake Hill now drives this first pitch of the at-bat high and very foul off to the left. That will send one of the Milford bench players into the woods to collect it. Blake Hill, a walk, a strikeout, and a flyout so far today. Sends this pitch hard on the ground through up the middle for a base hit. Rounding third base is Jordan Dillon. He will come in to score on the RBI single by Hill. So the Hawks making up now for a lack of hitting with runners in scoring position earlier in this game, as they now take a 6-2 lead. And now here is Griffin Lynch, who takes the first pitch for strike 1. Milford with 4 hits now in this bottom of the 6th inning. Still just 1 out. The only out coming on the sacrifice bunt from Drew Wild. As Lynch now falls behind in the count, 0-2. He came into the game as the Hockomock League leading hitter in terms of batting average, but is 0 for 2 on the day. He struck out earlier in the ball game against Jordan Elkery. Also grounded out. Did hit a sacrifice fly back in the first. A count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. Blake Hill aboard at first as that pitch is in for a called strike 3, so a tough at bat right there for Lynch. second straight at bat called out on strikes. So there finally is the second out of this bottom of the 6th inning. Now here's Anthony Mazzini, who is 1 for 3. He singled in his last at bat. Takes a pitch inside to start off ahead in the count. Blake Hill with a modest lead over at first. As Mazzini gets underneath this pitch, he hits it on the infield. The pitcher gives way to the first baseman, Brian Crimmins, who makes the catch for the out that does end the inning. But a productive inning for the Scarlet Hawks as they score 3 times and now take a 6-2 lead into the top of the 7th inning. It will be Alex Croteau looking to finish what he started when we come back next here on Milford TV. Well, the Scarlet Hawks had been having a bit of a tough time hitting with men on base in this game, but they were able to come through with some clutch hitting in the bottom half of the 6th inning, getting RBI producing hits out of Aiden Wild, Jeff Basazzi, and Blake Hill to give themselves a 4-run lead to work with as Alex Croteau pitches here in the top of the 7th inning. Misses high against Tommy Herr, who has struck out swinging and struck out looking so far in the game. That pitch down in the dirt. A bit of a wait for Alex Croteau as he watched his offense send 7 men to the plate and score 3 big insurance runs. Gets a waving swing and a miss here. He battles back and strikes out Herr for the 3rd time in the game. A frustrating day at the plate for the Stoughton left fielder. A big first out in this inning, and that is strikeout 11 on the day for Alex Croteau. I had shortchanged him by a strikeout at the conclusion of the 6th inning, but it is 11 total Ks on the day so far for the righty, who now delivers this pitch into Alex Akiavati, who hits it hard out to left field, but the catch is made there by Griffin Lynch, and quickly Stoughton is down to their last out. Hard hit by Akiavati, who reached on an infield single and ended up scoring a run in that tough top of the 5th. But Stoughton down to their last out. Now here's Robbie Ware, who sends it relatively deep out into right field, but Blake Hill is there to make the catch, and the Scarlet Hawks have won the ball game. So Milford able to grab their 2nd win of the year here at home, their 3rd win overall on the season. They jump back up over the 500 mark now at 3-2. As they congratulate each other outside of the dugout and now enter into the handshake line with the Stoughton Black Knights. A quality win here today for the Milford Scarlet Hawks as they defeat Stoughton by a final score of 6-2. And really the standout performance on the day, the pitching of Alex Croteau going the distance, allowing just 2 runs on 4 hits, 1 of those runs unearned. And again, 11 strikeouts in the game. Alex Croteau gets the victory. The loss goes to Jordan Elkery. And also a good offensive day for both members of the Wild family, each with an RBI in the game. So that will wrap up our coverage on the day. We will re-engage with the softball team later this week with a big matchup against Franklin, a rematch of last year's preliminary round playoff game. So you can expect that here on Milford TV in the days ahead, but that will wrap up our coverage for today. For Rob O'Keefe, I am Tim Coette. Your final score, one final time, Milford defeats Stoughton by a final score of 6-2. This has been a presentation of Milford High School Athletics on Milford TV. So long, everybody.